Okay, now it's time to do the spoiler review of The Bye Bye Man. If you haven't seen this movie already, I highly recommend you not listening to this. Now, let me go ahead and kick this off. Now, if you've already watched my spoiler-free review, you'll know that this movie had been pushed back a bunch. And I don't know if that had a huge effect on why this movie was going to be good or bad or not, although a lot of reviewers seem to think so. I think there are some elements in the movie that were good and bad. They probably could have been better had they had an R rating. But I think they were trying to appeal to that child crowd because the sort of rule set and style of horror movie that it was, they were trying to appeal to a lot of different people. So it's hard to say. There were some really cool death scenes in it. Do I think this is a movie you need to go out and rush out to the theater? Probably not. It could wait for video. But it isn't a bad movie. If you're a huge horror fan and you just want to go out to the theater to see horror, you're going to see it anyway, so it doesn't matter what I say to you. As I had mentioned, this movie was supposed to come out in 2016. In fact, it was slated to come out October 14th. Then it got an earlier date, June 23rd. Then it got pushed to December 9th. And then it finally is coming out Friday the 13th of January. It makes you kind of wonder what kind of issues they were having, and I'm assuming that because some of the test screens that they had, some of the people were pretty upset with the movie. I had mentioned in my spoiler-free review that there was some things that they did in it that kind of frustrated me a little bit. The beginning of the movie starts off with a guy shooting people with a shotgun. His family, his friends, that was kind of cool, actually. Although I wish it was a little more graphic. I felt like it just needed that extra punch because I actually really liked the beginning scene because it's like, what the fuck is going on? He's all screaming, don't tell anybody, don't tell anybody. Did you tell? Who'd you tell? Bam, bam. He's like pounding him in the chest with a shotgun. Bam, knocking him the fuck out. Kind of gives you a little bit of panic there. Could have done with some blood. There was absolutely no blood really, just a dent on a wall, which was kind of disappointing, but the aggressiveness and the anger of it was kind of cool, and I kind of wonder if they're going to be releasing this movie uncut, because I don't think they're going to be after all the reviews that we've seen, I don't think there's going to be a sequel, guys, and if there is, it's going to be one of those straight-to-video sequels that we usually get. Fast forward, you're in the future now, because this was like in '69, and you're now in apparently the 90s, which I had no clue that this took place in the 90s, other than he was wearing like violent femmes. I didn't really think anything of it because 90s is kind of retro now, so kids are wearing that shit anyway. So I just was like, oh, it's just like, you know, some cool kid that's like into old music. It stars these three casts. You got Douglas Smith, who plays Elliot, Lucian Laviscount, not sure if I'm saying that right. He plays his best friend, John. Then you have Sasha, the character Sasha, played by Cressida Bonas. I've got to say, she was probably the worst actor in the movie. And apparently, I guess he tried to just, do the like typical American accent. A lot of people are saying it didn't really work too well. Honestly, I didn't know that, but just watching her performance was very stale. I didn't feel like she had anything. It was kind of like, I don't know what's happening. Why? Why am I having problems? I am monotone. Didn't really do it for me, guys. She was kind of annoying. And in fact, all of them were kind of annoying. I want to care a little bit at least about the characters so that when they die, I'm like, it kind of gets me. But I was kind of just looking for a romp this time. I was just like, okay, when I saw the trailer, I thought to myself, oh man, this is going to be creepy. And they had that little head coming through the doorway. The doorway, it was a dog's head. And it kind of looked like a Freddy Krueger face because it had like the red eyes and it came out through the doggy, like this like tiny door in the bedroom, which I thought was kind of creepy and like, whoa, like where is this going? When I saw the trailer, I actually was like, ooh, maybe it's kind of got like some craziness you would find in Freddy Krueger. And I think it kind of borrows from that in some respects. Is that a bad thing? Not as bad as everybody's making it out to be, because Christ's sake, man, when's the last time we've had a really, really good slasher? I mean, come on. Let's not be that picky, people. There was a couple of quick jump scares in the very beginning. They were kind of dumb, but it didn't really bother me. I was expecting those anyway. I think you kind of have to have a balance of jump scares and atmosphere in the movie. Believe it or not, the movie actually has some atmosphere. It gets a little weird halfway through and starts to throw everything at you. like rapid fire, and it loses that entire thing. I don't know what they were thinking, and I don't know if this has to do with the cuts necessarily, because it felt like it had like a nice, semi-nice atmosphere, and then it just kind of twists on it. Bye-bye, man. He says it out loud, like when they're having a seance. He's like, the bye-bye, man, and everything, all the lights go out and shit goes crazy. There was some typical things that they kept doing, though, before that. They kept trying to make it so that his best friend, John, was actually in love with his girlfriend, the main characters, which it seemed like he was, which is kind of annoying. But they tried to, you know, play on that and make you wonder. So, but then when it finally did happen and then they were like kind of mad at each other, it was like kind of pointless to begin with. So I don't even know why they put it in there. Didn't really make much sense there. Some of the death scenes, like I really liked when the chick got hit by the train, even though it was kind of typical. I was like, yes! You just see her body kind of go, oh. Then there was that big lady, the librarian. She got hit by him in the car. Some of the tropes, I guess, that they did in this and why I didn't exactly like it 100%. It has kind of a cool idea because how do you escape hearing it or thinking it? You're just automatically dead. There's no way out of it. Kind of makes you feel like there should be a way out of it other than just killing yourself. The first guy in the movie tries to kill himself, kill all the people who knew the Bye-Bye Man or heard him talk about it, because he was a journalist and he was an investigator. And so he's going around trying to kill everybody off because he starts having these visions and being haunted by this entity or whatever. I noticed that they always seem to find coins or they see the dog and it kind of haunts them, which, you know, I didn't really mind that too much. Everybody has some problems with, why is he handing them coins? Like, what's going on here? Why she got coins? Like, I don't give a fuck, really. I don't need everything divulged to me. It seems like they were trying to go for a franchise on this. I mean, there's no doubt in my mind. But will there be? I don't know. Straight to video. One of the things I do want to talk about is the rule set that they had made up for this movie and for Bye-Bye Man. If you say his name or you hear it or you think it or whatever, he'll start to come around. The more you think about him, the more that he'll kill you or haunt you or fuck with you or whatever the hell he is. There were some kind of cool scenes like where he was coming out of the wall and stuff, but the rule sets for it didn't really leave room for any exit or to how to get out of it. Whereas like something like Final Destination, like they kind of had this intricate, you know, rule set that if you save somebody's life, it would go on to the next person. And even though you were all going to die, it was still kind of cool to like jump around on it until the very end. This kind of just made it seem like there was no hope anyway. The weird thing to me, I thought was, okay, so the main character is the first person to find out about the Bye-Bye Man, but everybody else that he talks to, for some reason, comes to the conclusion that they just have to kill everybody that knows it before him. He didn't consider it, and maybe it was because he was a skeptic, but I thought that was kind of weird. I don't know. I just thought that was like, the librarian lady, she calls him up on the phone and you don't realize he's like, I need to come over. Maybe we should talk this out. And then when she hangs up the phone, she's like, okay, I'll see you in a little bit. And then she hangs up the phone and you see her 2 dead kids laying on the floor that she murdered them with a butcher knife. And I thought that was kind of, I don't know. It seemed too fast. It felt like what they were doing in this movie is trying to force the trilogy down your throat into one movie. Instead of just focusing on the mystery of it, that probably would have worked a little bit better. I noticed that movies nowadays kind of want to like cram all this like information in your face. And they're really cool, interesting things, but you just kind of divulge them so easily that it doesn't really matter anymore. Kind of like the movie Incarnate. I wasn't a real fan of that. I liked the concepts that they came up with, that it was like Inception and he was getting in their minds and they were being suppressed by all these people. And it kind of reminded me of that in a way where they just divulge all the information to you too quick. Because of that, I think the movie suffered a lot. They just threw too much in there. Like, it was not only the librarian who came to this conclusion to kill everybody, but also the seance chick named Kim, I think. She was like, already had murdered her fucking roommate or some shit like that, and then was going to go with him to murder all of them. Why did she come to this conclusion so fast and he didn't? And why is everybody else but him being affected? I don't know. It seems weird. But I guess by the end of the movie, you do find out, and he's like poking him on the head, just like tapping him as his brothers like ringing the doorbell, which was kind of a cool scene. I like that, how it kind of edited in there. But you find out by the end of the movie that he was the guy that was supposed to spread all of this. He puts the gun to his head and kills himself while his brother's trying to get in the door with his daughter. I don't know really what I felt about the ending. I felt like things went a little too fast as it was. I think if they would have kept it a little more creepy, it probably would have been a better movie overall. Although every one of the reviews that I'm seeing has this issue with what were the coins? Why was there a train? I kind of wanted to know that. Probably would have been a good idea. Probably in sequel 2 that they were hoping for, they would have divulged that. But it was almost like the coin was your ticket to his hell ride. Maybe I'm wrong there. First, they see the coin, and then you start hearing the train, and then you know the Bye-Bye Man's coming. It may not have been the best movie in certain areas. Like, it had an overall vibe for it. And typically, I like to do a review on a movie once I've seen it 2 times. But this is just kind of my first opinions review. And right now, after talking about it and thinking about it and all the different scenes and what they did right and wrong, it kind of feels like it's like a 5 or a 6, not something that you need to go rush out to the theater to see, but not something that you need to go fucking start punching holes in the wall and freaking out. I'm not a big fan of critics, and I try to be kind of understanding of other movies and at least kind of give my opinion on why I felt that they were. Some of these reviews were actually pretty decent in explaining it, but they kind of just wanted to have a lot of wordplay to make it seem funny. Like, I think one of the reviews at the very end said, "Don't think it, don't watch it." Like, ha 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 ha. Is it all that bad? Come on, man. Nobody's out like taking your babies and kicking them in the face or something. Like, it's really not that big a deal. It's not an abomination to horror fans. Some of them said this is an insult to the horror community. It seems a little bit much. I don't think it's an insanely horrible movie. I've seen a lot of horrible movies last year that were worse than this. And while this has borrowed from other movies and has similar tropes and kind of throw in some obligatory shit that may have panned out if they had sequels, that didn't bother me at all. I mean, what did you guys think? I mean, tell me in the comments. Am I on point here? Did it have atmosphere to you? Did you feel like you hated the acting? Because, I mean, were some pretty strong points. Sometimes I just want to go for the ride, man. Felt like this movie kind of took me on a ride, but didn't really end up where I wanted to be. It was kind of like, hey, we're going on a ride, and it circled around my house and dropped me off in the front yard. And I was like, whee, I'm right here. Still, even that, at the lowest, I say it gets a 5 because it does do some pretty cool stuff. It has a moderate budget. My girlfriend actually made a point. We watched this other movie called Oculus, which wasn't an amazing movie, but I didn't think it was that bad. I thought it was kind of unique. But they kind of played on the whole messing with your head to make you think that somebody was somebody else kind of thing. Like at the very end, he sees his girlfriend and his best friend fighting on the floor, and one of them's got the jump on him, and he attacks the one that's jumping on her. And it turns out it's her, and they shoot each other because they're all seeing different things. And he realizes, oh, I just killed my girlfriend because the Bye-Bye Man played a joke on them. I don't think it's that bad of a movie. So if you are in for just having fun and don't take it too seriously, this might be a movie for you. If you are very specific about the rule sets and why things happen, and if it borrows from something else, you're not going to like this movie, apparently. Maybe you might want to wait till it comes out on DVD, Blu-ray, or digital. And just rent it there. Might be worth the wait, because I don't think it's something you need to rush out and see in the theater. But yeah, 5 or 6. Thank you guys for stopping by. If you guys have any other ideas why they may have done things in this movie wrong or right, sound off in the comments. I'd love to hear what you think. But thanks for stopping by. This is Alex from Beyond the Veil Horror Podcast, signing out.